You know, the one thing that I think is probably the Achilles heel for listing agents all across the country, and I've interviewed so many real estate agents, I've coached so many real estate agents, listing agents, and the biggest thing is they create these amazing businesses, but these businesses are like cash-eating monsters instead of money-making machines. And do you know how you can transform your financial life and make your financial life 100 times better? I'll tell you this. Read this book. It's called Profit First. Michael Michalowicz, I'm sure I'm butchering his name, but it's an amazing book, Profit First. I highly recommend everybody get this book because it really is all about how can we turn your business into something that is really generating so much wealth so that you can become wealthy. Now, I say this many times. You can be a real successful listing agent in the United States and you will lead a really good life, okay? There's no doubt about that. But I don't really think it's going to make you wealthy. Profit first is really number one. Initially, what do you do with your money once you earn all these excess commissions and you become a top listing agent? What do you do with those? And number two, how do you invest that money? So I think really what do you do with your money? The number one is, are you spending all your money as soon as you get it? There's this misconception that I think that most people think, and I used to work for PricewaterhouseCoopers as a CPA. So one of the things, this is why it's near and dear to my heart, is as part of the Listing Collective in my coaching program, I have a whole module on how to invest your money, how to become wealthy as a listing agent. Because most listing agents think, most entrepreneurs think that the equation for wealth is sales less expenses equals profit. Well, the problem with that is that as listing agents, many of whom, let's just face it, we're not that really good with money. Most listing agents aren't good with money. But as listing agents, we get this big chunk of money one day, 1 week, and we ended up blowing it. That's the biggest problem. We spend it on all kinds of crazy ass stuff that we don't need, paying off bills, paying off debt, whatever it is. But the problem with that is that doesn't train your brain into thinking that you need to save money. So the new paradigm shift, especially with Profit First, hence the name, is sales minus profit equals expenses. In other words, pay yourself first. So if you get a check for $10,000, a commission check for $10,000, maybe you should take 1,000 of that, 10%, 1,000 of that, and put it into an account immediately that you don't need, that makes it very difficult to get into. So for instance, I have two banks. I have my investments in one bank, and then I have my regular bank that actually is more like my day-to-day kind of expenses, that kind of stuff. When I put money, my profit, as soon as I get a check, into my investment bank, it's really difficult for me to get that money out. I have strict instructions on what to do with the money and how it should be handled and what do I have to do to get that money. It's not easy. So I am taking my profit up front and investing it right away. Excuse me. And so it makes it very difficult for me to liquidate that investment, and it makes it very difficult for me to touch that money. All the money I have left is the money then I am going to break into a number of accounts. One is going to be operating expenses. Number two is going to be for my taxes. And number three is going to be for my personal checking, for my money to live on. Okay? And that is how I run my business. Every single time I get a check, a certain amount goes straight to the investment bank as my profit, and then I take everything else and I channel it, if you will, divide it into 3 different bank accounts, and I use that money accordingly. That's what Profit First is all about. Because I can tell you this without equivocation, listing agents are going to blow all their money. So if you're not saving money first and putting it into an account that's very difficult to get out of, then you are not going to build wealth. Which leads me to the second thing in talking about, okay, now you've got this money sitting over there in your profit account. What are you doing with it? This is what you want to be investing. You really want to be investing in things that you're passionate about, things that you like about, things that you like. I mean, I hope that you're investing in real estate, duh. But you should also be investing in other things. I think that stocks and ETFs and bonds are super boring, but I have a great investment advisor that helps me with that because I want to diversify my investments. What other things can you put money into? There's all kinds of things. I highly recommend putting money into things that you care about, you're passionate about, and most importantly, that you understand. Unless you're really savvy about investing in different crazy kinds of things, I would, and again, it depends on your risk tolerance, and it really depends on your age and how long you have to build stuff. I highly recommend that you invest in things that you know. That's why throughout the last 30 years as a listing agent, I've always invested in real estate because I know it really well. I also invest in stocks. I also invest in bonds and ETFs and all that kind of good stuff. And that stuff makes my eyes glaze over. But like I said, my investment advisor handles that for me. So number one, the biggest takeaway here, and this is the most important thing as a listing agent that you really need to wrap your brain around, and that is number one, adopt the profit first model. Okay, read the book. It's an amazing book, and start saving your profit first before you pay yourself, before you pay your debt, your bills, taxes, everything else. And then number two, make sure you're taking that profit and investing it wisely, investing it over the long term, because that is really what's going to build wealth. So highly recommend you go out and get that book. Read Profit First. It's super important for your business. Your family is going to love you for it. Your business is going to love you for it. And when you're older, you're going to love it. So buy that book, read it. And if you want to talk to me about how we can set this up for your business, or talk more about investments, hit the link down below and let's book a call. I'd love to jump on a call with you and talk about how we can make you an amazing profit first listing agent.